Good morning. I'm cutting into my nature time before work. I'm getting ready for work to talk about this, but it's just been swirling in my head and I want to get these thoughts out. At work, I spent the weekend with my cousin, and he and his girlfriend had been struggling with codependency. And then they read the Codependent No More, and it made a big shift for them. And my cousin was like, hey, you should check this book out. So I listened to the shortened version on YouTube. And while I already realized that a lot of my behaviors in my past relationship were codependent, after listening to the book and then going to Topgolf with my family, I was like, holy shit, I literally cared. My last job was caring for an alcoholic. I was caring for an alcoholic, and I was trying to control her actions because she was an alcoholic and because I was getting paid to take care of her. I'm like, holy shit. That really just, like, learning those behaviors really set me up to fuck up in the relationship, among a lot of other things. But I was just reflecting on codependency as a theme of, trying to control other people, but not just trying to control other people, but being emotionally invested and overly concerned about other people. And I feel like codependency is a theme that is propagated through the media. When you think about these love songs and this, oh, you're mine, I'm yours, I do anything for you, or like the way that people are like, oh, I get all my happiness from you, or I like that Kelly Clarkson song, my life would suck without you. Like, I understand that a person can make you really happy and you might not want to live without them, but this idea that like we are nothing without another person, and I feel like this intense toxicity around the relationship dynamic was probably something that was capitalized off of once people started picking partners for love and not for like societal familial gain or power or benefit. And they're like, okay, how can we keep people in these relationships, keep people devoted to God or whatever? And I feel like codependency is something that probably everyone struggles with at some point in their life. It's very hard to not become overly emotionally invested in other people or other things, like whether that's politics or climate change or how your mom or dad are, or your brothers or your sisters. I realized with my little brother, I'm like so worried about how he's going to turn out that I'm not treating him the way that I should, saying, oh, you shouldn't drink that, that's bad for you, your teeth are going to fall out, da 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 da. It's like, hold up, I'm just scared that like he's going to turn out a certain way, and I'm not being realistic that he gets to make his own life decisions, and maybe his teeth do need to fall out to make sure that his children's teeth don't, and veneers exist. Maybe it would be a wake-up call for my mom to really be invested in the health of her children. Who knows? That's not for me to say. That's not for me to be involved in, because I'm not his parent. And even like in families, a lot of times, I feel like in almost every family, there's this idea where it's like you have to follow this sort of rubric, or your family will try to convince you to do certain things, or maybe get overly invested or cross certain boundaries, or you're overly worried about. And alcoholism is, I need to change arms, my hand hurts. Alcoholism and other diseases like depression or maybe a chronic illness, those are really common. And a lot of people know or are in relationships or are people who are alcoholics or have some sort of other issue going on. And I feel like it's kind of hard to not take on a caregiving role for someone who you see who needs care, when in actuality, they are their own adult. And if they die, that's their choice. And it's hard to accept those things. I was even thinking about like the media beyond music, in like these like ABC family shows and just like other television shows where it's like there'll be a conflict between two people and the one person will do something crazy so that the other person either doesn't find something out or to manipulate the situation because they're too afraid to just talk about their feelings. And at the end, the other person always finds out and there's a confession moment. And then instead of, some sort of boundary being put in place, the conflict is resolved, saying, oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have, I'm sorry you feel that, both sides apologize for whatever's going on. But a lot of times that's not what happens in real conflict. And I'm realizing I was playing these scenarios in my head, thinking about codependency. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking kind of fast. I was thinking about how my ex, trauma dumped on me on, the first date and, the first time we hooked up and, how that affected me. And I was just replaying a stupid scenario in my head, telling him, you did this. And I'm like, holy shit, wait, I love this person. And by trying to, essentially blame or bring up the errors, because there's holding someone accountable. But when you hold someone accountable in hopes that they will change their ways, that's codependency. Or at least that's my interpretation of codependency. And in these TV shows, you try to hold someone accountable and they are accountable because it's a TV show and it's supposed to be a perfect life, But in real life, a lot of times that doesn't happen. There's mixed feelings, there's pushing the blame, there's, the other person trying to cross personal boundaries with the other person and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, holy shit, conflict resolution is not about trying to get the other person to be better, which I feel like a lot of times it's phrased as. It's phrased as two people coming together and we'll do better next time. And but obviously each person is autonomous in that decision. But then what about when the other person doesn't want to do better? And then there's this fighting from the codependent to try to make them do better by guilt tripping, blaming, crying, emotional manipulation, maybe the silent treatment, who knows, whatever the fuck people use. For me, it was a lot of explaining, rephrasing, crying, bullshit. And I'm like, holding someone accountable isn't for them. It's for you. It's something you do for yourself to see how someone will treat you, so then you can create a boundary about how you want to engage with this person in the future. If they willingly, autonomously come to a healthy compromise that you feel good about, that reaffirms for you that that's a relationship that's going to work. If they don't do that, they do literally anything besides that, that's not a fault with them. That's information for us, It's information to then take and say, how am I going to use this newfound information that this person handled not accepting accountability in this situation? All you got to do is say how you feel and hold them accountable. And then that's it, hands off. There's no more need for huffing and fussing and complaining and re-explaining and all that bullshit. And I realized for me, when I was in that situation, it was hard because I'm codependent. I'm relying on this person for happiness. I have all these mixed up ideas. So it can be really hard, but then getting out of that and then going forward with my other relationships, I can shift the perspective of how I deal with conflict and how I deal having relationships with people, but not being overly invested in their lives. It's not that you don't care or love someone, but why would you care about what they're doing more than what you're doing? You can't control them. I just feel with the way that parenting is, there's all these crazy parenting ideas and people are narcissistic parents and they try to control their kids and all this stuff. And then we also learn it as kids. Was my door open? No, okay. We learn it as kids from our parents. I was thinking about how my dad is hugely emotionally reactive. And in talking to him as an adult and trying to set a boundary about saying, like, hey, I don't want to be around someone who's like crazy. I didn't say it like that, but I basically found out that he feels vindicated to act however he wants if he's angered or if he's upset. If I do something that is within the bounds of bad or just bad, that he deems as bad, he feels it's okay to act however he wants. And that was something that he did when we were kids. And then it's us trying to manipulate his emotional reactivity by doing or not doing certain things. And that's fucking crazy. Your parents should not be doing that. What the fuck? Oh my God, while getting ready, I just realized, like, when you're a kid and there's conflict in your house, you don't have that many options. Like, you can't set, rarely can a child set the type of boundaries that we're then asked to set as adults of, well, if you're going to treat me that way, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z, because we're at the mercy of our caregivers because we are too young to do certain things by ourselves. So we have to accept that kind of treatment. Oh my God. So it's no wonder that then people grow up thinking conflict resolution is a sort of resolution where someone's behavior is remedied, or that conflict can be healthily solved by, whatever it is you used to do as a kid, Wow. Yeah, just like the huge emotional reactivity. And then it's like, I couldn't even call him when he was late for picking me up for dance class because he'd get pissed off by it. And then it's like this huge game, and it's like, yeah, I remember being like, oh yeah, as a kid, thinking I was like, had all this emotional flexibility and I could manipulate these situations to be X, Y, and Z. What? And then as I grew up, I lost that kind of emotional flexibility that I think is inherent when you're a child, perhaps, but maybe just codependent, like having a parent who is not emotionally regulated, two parents who aren't emotionally regulated. Yeah. And then just like thinking about like the TV shows we watch and the music we listen to and the dynamics that are everywhere, like between parents and children, between two partners, friends, family, this unhealthy focus on somebody else's life, which then I feel like also gets brought out through celebrity culture, where people who are really into these celebrities derive a lot of their happiness from what the celebrity is doing instead of living their own life. So there's so many ways that I feel like this plays into, and I'm sure I could like think about it more and take it even farther back, but I just wanted to get this off my chest. I gotta go to work. Okay, I'm at work, but I had more thoughts. Maybe I should face this way towards the light. A lot of behavior that we engage in relationships that's normalized through social media, music, all those things I was talking about, like the please call me back, I need you. And when girls, but anyone, are augmenting the way we communicate by waiting to reply to someone, changing the way we phrase something so that it comes across in a certain way, maybe nonchalant, whatever, that's codependency. You are so worried with how they're going to respond. You're trying to control it. And then it's not just manipulation, because then you're also tying your happiness and your feel-goodness to the outcome of your ability to get them to act in the way that you want. Like I'm gonna wear this certain thing on this certain date because I want him to do X, Y, Z, or I'm gonna act in this certain way and say these certain things because I want him to think this thing about me and offer me X, Y, Z. And if that doesn't happen, bitches crash out, myself included. And I'm listening to music while I'm at work, and I'm having to really, I'm gonna make a separate video on this, on like how to better filter through the type of media we're consuming to align with our goals. But so many of these songs, like these people who are in the music industry, they are by no means like perfect people. We might like their music, but that doesn't mean that they're healed, that they're purporting a positive or healthy idea of love. And it's been repeated over and over and over that it's just so nonchalantly accepted. The Justin Bieber song, like, please call me or I'm going to jump off the roof. Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, please call me, please text me, please, like, do XYZ, like, I'll walk 500 miles for you and then I'll walk 500 more just to be the man who does that. And obviously he'd be fucking pissed if she wasn't like, come inside. It goes so deep into the culture, this codependency habit, that it's really hard to unentwine from and unentwine yourself from. But I feel like once, for me, I start like reading about it and being more conscious and present with my actions and my feelings and what my thoughts are about certain people and what they're doing, it's easy to slowly start to take the giant tangled up ball of yarn and